Welcome back to another video on what if Deca. That was bad on my part. Sorry about that. What if Deku had aura manipulation, part 3. So where we last left off, we had just finished the USJ and Izawa announces that they're going to be doing the UA Sports Festival. And that they had 2 weeks to practice still. Deku and Bakugo, practice with each other a lot because, well, that's what they've just always done. They've always practiced with each other. But right in that, now you also have Uraraka and Ida joining in and practicing with them as well. Bakugo had already developed the AP shot and stuff, and not to mention he is way stronger than what he was previously in canon. Because with Deku being able to copy quirks, he learned that this is what his quirk can become. So he always strived to get to where Deku had his quirk, basically. And, Uraraka's there too, and she notices that Deku also, used her quirk to an excellent degree, and she's thinking, well, if Izuku can do it, I can do it too. And, she gives that, clenched fist, looking up at the sky, look on her face. Anita is just standing there because, he's the third member of the trio and they all have to be buds. So, after that happens, they've been training for 2 weeks. Nothing really changes with Deku's quirk because he's kind of at his max currently. He would need a major breakthrough to get past his max. Or we would need some more information about Sean's ability over on Unordinary. But, Ochako, Uraraka, as well as Ida Tenya, both have increased. Ida's increased his speed and his reciprocal burst, while Uraraka is now way better at throwing objects. Because she realizes that one of her main abilities is that she can put technically infinite speed on an object. Because if she removes the gravity and basically chucks it as hard as she can, that speed's never going to diminish. She literally has infinite energy on any object she chucks. So she worked on more physical-based training, and she started training in martial arts thanks to Deku and Bakugo, who are both already partially trained. And Ida didn't pick up martial arts because he really didn't find it to be helpful, because most martial arts that Deku and Bakugo know were more of a deflection style to deflect fist attacks. And since Ida mainly uses his legs and the way they were learning mainly used hands, the two abilities kind of didn't overlap. So it's finally the start of the UA Sports Festival, and Bakugo, it would be Deku, because Deku got first place in points, goes up there, and he gives his speech wishing everyone to be well and have a good time, and to try their hardest, and all of that. After that happens, Deku, the first event, the race starts. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of stupid that Deku would race. Mainly just because Uraraka and Bakugo are there. Now, you might be kind of confused why I'm calling it stupid with Uraraka and Bakugo there. Mainly because Deku uses his 5 times his physical abilities thanks to his quirk. He boosts his own aura, and then he modifies his aura to be Bakugo's and Uraraka's and have his base increase in speed and strength. And then he just touches himself and explodes away. So he instantaneously wins the race, basically. Because he's just gaining so much speed at such an insane rate. Because like I said, Uraraka based her training around getting physically strong. Well, Deku already is physically strong, as well as now is able to use explosions to boost him farther. So Deku just flat out instantly wins. at an absurd speed, may I mind you. So, Deku comes in first, Bakugo is going to come in second, and Todoroki's coming in third with Ida in fourth. Uraraka didn't even get close, but that's basically all the members. So the cavalry battle comes up, and for this, Deku decides that he's going to go ahead. Uraraka comes over because he has a 10,000 and no one wants to team with him. And she's like, okay, I'll join you. Because she already knows anyone coming at Deku's going to get their butt kicked, basically. And same with Tokiyami. Tokiyami comes over. Rather than Deku going to Tokiyami, Tokiyami comes over and says that he'll join Deku's team. Mainly just because he likes Deku better in this one. Because Deku has a little bit more confidence. So he wants to join Deku's team. And of course you got Mei Hatsume coming over because she wants to test out her babies and to test them out under the most extreme conditions, which would be Deku. And what was Deku's fourth member? Oh yeah, okay, never mind. He didn't have a fourth member. Yep, so that's Deku's team. It's same as canon, but rather than Deku asking people around, people came to him instead. Afterwards, Bakugo made his own team with Soro. I think it was the Acid Girl. I can't remember her name. Alien Queen's her hero name. As well as Kirishima. And then Shoto made his same team, but, Mineta and them kind of just do their own thing. They have their own teams. I can't remember who anyone else's team was mainly comprised of. So everyone wants that 10 million, okay? 10 million points. And Deku ain't giving it to anyone. So what happens is that during the fight, Shoto and Bakugo mainly go and hit everyone else up first. They're trying to get as little people to proceed into the next round. Because they know Deku's going to be a big crisis if Deku can have someone within his range of copying and copy their quirks. Which he shouldn't. It's a 50-foot range, so he won't have anyone except for his opponent that he's battling. And his base enhancement. So the battle starts and people start chasing after Deku, But anytime anyone comes at him, Deku just uses the different quirks on his team. Except for Tokiyami's, because I'm pretty sure his is a mutation. And I do know some people in the comment section was like, but Deku should be able to copy mutations, because he can use Bakugo's explosions and such. And I already explained, it's like more or less a emitter style quirk. He copies the emitter part, and he has the 5 times buff to all of his baseline stats, including damage, how much damage he can take, his durability. So that's why he can use quirks like Bakugo's just fine without any issues. He doesn't copy the physical extra padding Bakugo has on his hands. And that's why he can't copy Ojiro's quirk either. Uraraka's, he copies the finger things that let her do it, and same with Shigaraki. But back to what I was saying, anyone who comes up to Deku basically gets their butt kicked. Either they get physically sent flying thanks to Deku's just raw strength, or they start floating up in the air thanks to Uraraka. And then it finally reaches like the last 30 seconds, and Bakugo starts blasting his way towards Deku, and Shoto does as well. Deku had already anticipated this, so he copies Uraraka's quirk, and as soon as they come into the meter range, he copies Bakugo's and Shoto's quirk. Using Explosive Ice, which is a combination of Shoto's Ice Side and Bakugo's explosions, he sends out icicles out of his hands that explode on impact. They're covered in the sweat. And then thanks to the 5 times buff, he can also make it to where as soon as they land, fire ignites the icicles, causing them to explode. So basically, he has complete control over Shoto's quirk to an insane degree. So as soon as Shoto comes nearby, he instantaneously makes an ice wall. Deku does, basically keeping Shoto out and basically blocking him because he can't really get in there even with his team. And then Bakugo explodes over the wall, just to be met with a giant ice pillar that sends him flying in the air. Deku ain't playing games this one. The timer runs out, and of course the teams from Bakugo and Shoto and Deku will pass, and the Mind Control Kids team passed. I don't know anyone else who passed. I have to add and mention. Ojiro tells Deku that the person he's fighting against has some sort of mind control quirk. After Ojiro responded to him, he couldn't move or do anything. He just blanked out. So Deku took it as, oh, it must be when Ojiro responded. So the fight against Shinjo happens. And Deku just says, I can't talk, I just gotta take this guy out. So he uses the mind control quirk on Shinzo and asks Shinzo, what's his name? And Shinzo says his name, my name is Shinzo from Class 1C. And then he gets mind controlled, and then Deku's like, walk out of the ring. And he forces Shinzo to walk out of the ring instantly, making him have an instant forfeit. And as soon as Shinzo snaps out of this, he's so confused. And Deku comes down and he's like, let me explain it to you. I just used your quirk against you. And Shinzo's confused. And Deku's like, I have a copy quirk. I just copied your quirk and used it against you. And Shinzo finally comes to conclusion. And he can't believe what he just heard. Afterwards, when it's Deku versus, I'm pretty sure Todoroki happens. Deku versus Todoroki. Yeah. And the whole entire thing with Endeavor happens, asking Deku to make sure Todoroki uses his fire side, which Deku just scoffs out, which kind of gets Endeavor mad. And then Deku straight up looks at Endeavor's face and he says, you know what? Maybe if you were half of a good father, maybe Todoroki would use his fire side. But since you're pretty much a shit father, yeah, I ain't gonna listen to a word you fucking say. And he walks out on Endeavor. And Endeavor's pretty heated by this. Now, you might be wondering why Deku reacted that way. Mainly because Deku has more of a spiteful part to his personality, because he did hang out around Bakugo, and they kind of rubbed off on each other. So he does have a little bit more spiteful, and he got really annoyed with that father, so that spiteful side kind of came out. After that event had happened, basically, Shoto and Deku come up there, and Deku stands on the other side of Shoto, and he's just thinking to himself, Shoto should use his fire side. And the battle ensues. Deku, first off, doesn't start off copying Shoto's quirk, because Shoto's only using his ice side. And Shoto's like, what, you're not going to copy my quirk? Are you just too good for my quirk? And Deku says, there's no reason to. I don't have to go all out because you're not going all out. Shoto gets kind of angry about this, but he's not going to fall for Deku's taunts. And then Shoto's like, what, did my father tell you to say that? As he launches an ice pillar at Deku. Deku quickly avoids it and just kicks it away. Nope. I just don't want to fight anyone seriously unless if they're being serious. And then the battle keeps going on and on. And then Deku finally starts getting fed up with this. And he's like, come the fuck on, man. It's your abilities, not your father's. Just fucking use it already. As he got really pissed at Shoto. And Shoto's just taken aback by this because he's never heard Deku cuss. But when it comes to father-son relationships, Deku kind of has a little bit of a sore spot seeing how his father's never home because of work. And then this finally gets Shoto to use his fire side, and Deku's like, finally. God, it only took me having to fucking yell at you to get you to use it. And Deku copies Shoto's quirk, which was enhanced slightly on base by Shoto because he's more angry. So it's a little bit stronger than what it was back there in the Cavalry fight because of that. So when Deku copies it, the 5 times is like a 5.2 times multiplier. Base to Shoto's just base quirk average. So then the fight finally ensues, with ice blocks and fire blasts happening constantly. And finally, Deku's like, you know what, Shoto? I'm going to show you the true maximum power of your quirk. And Shoto starts to think, oh, this is going to end horribly. Because he knows Deku can times his quirk by 5. And we already see how well Shoto can control ice to make a giant ice glacier. Think of 5 times that. That's half the stadium gone in a single move by Deku. So Deku's like, ultimate heaven-piercing glacier! And he shoots it out. And it's like about a third of the stadium. But Deku has the ability to control it better than Shoto, so it doesn't go over to the audience. It just blocks out Shoto's side for the stadium. And Shoto activates his version of the Heaven Pierce, but gets instantly nullified by Deku's because Deku's is made out of a more durable ice, like packed ice, causing Shoto to be fleened out, losing the match. And Deku goes over to Shoto and he says, good fight, sorry I had to act that way to you, but it was the only way to make you fight seriously. And then Shoto understands and just goes on with it. The same battle happens with Bakugo and Uraraka, but it happens more with Bakugo winning quicker than Uraraka, mainly just because, Bakugo is way stronger in this series than he was over in regular My Hero. So Deku goes up to the arena for the finals against Bakugo. They're standing face to face, and Bakugo's like, I'm gonna win this, Izuku. And Deku's like, sorry, Kachan, but I'm gonna win this. They're both like excited to fight each other again because they haven't sparred seriously in a long time. So Deku copies Bakugo quirk. He's like, I ain't gonna boost it. We're gonna have the same exact power, you hear me? And then Bakugo is like, what, you holding back on me? And Deku's like, nah, I just don't want the fight to end that quickly. Bakugo understood this because he's like, yeah, Deku does use 5 times, It's gonna be basically, I am screwed if he uses that. So Bakugo and Deku start fighting. And it's intense battle with Bakugo throwing a right hook explosion and then backing away with his left hand and firing an AP shot. Deku quickly dodges it using an explosive dodge and then fires an AP shot over at Bakugo, causing Bakugo to get hit. And it's just repeating like this for a long time until they're both basically out of energy. And then they both use the Howitzer explosion move on each other. But Deku kind of buffs his just a little bit more. Like I want to say 1.5 just to overpower Bakugo's. And afterwards, Bakugo gets fleeing out of the stadium, getting Deku the win. And it's broadcast over TV. And a man who's watching the television in a black suit and tie notices this and thinks to himself, that kid has a pretty strong quirk. Would be useful if he becomes a villain. It would have been horrible if he loses it. As the man laughs in the background. So we quickly cut back over to the winning feed and Deku gets his first medal. Bakugo's not too upset because he understands that, yeah, Deku didn't even go full out against him and he still won. Bakugo got his. Todoroki got 3rd. After that whole entire battle had ensued, sports festival had ended, and people were flooding internships trying to get Deku. Everyone wanted Deku. Even Endeavor, who Deku had kind of, pissed off by cussing him out, basically. But even Endeavor wanted Deku, because he understands that if Deku copies Shoto's quirk, and Deku can use Shoto's quirk to a better capability than what Shoto can, then Shoto could probably learn from Deku. But out of all the agencies, he chooses to go with, who was it? Who was I going to send him with? He does choose to go with Endeavors. My bad, guys. And everyone goes with every other nation, and Ida gets a call, and it's about his brother, and his brother got attacked by the hero killer Stain. So Deku and Shoto show up on the first day of the internship over at Endeavor's area. And Endeavor, goes like, "Shoto, you finally decided to use your fire side." And Shoto just scoffs at this, He doesn't like his father at all, so he just scoffs at this. And he's like, "The only reason why I decided to go to your agency was just because I knew it could help me learn how to use my fire side better." And then Endeavor looks over at Izuku, and he's like, "Izuku, you also decided to go to mine." And Deku's like, "Yeah, I can't leave Todoroki here with a shitty father like you alone. That man will go insane." Endeavor gets kind of annoyed by this, but he brushes it off like a joke, because he knows that if him and Deku were to fight, it would go bad for Endeavor. 5 times Hellfire. God, what? Hellfire's special move is his Blue Flames one. And Deku can just use that infinitely. That would be his base abilities. So yeah, Endeavor already knows that the situation calls for not blowing up at probably who's going to be the number 1 hero. So Endeavor and Todoroki and Izuku copying Endeavor's and Todoroki's quirk infuses, switches out Todoroki's fire half with Endeavor's, like a full-on Endeavor form, which is a little bit hotter than Todoroki's base fire side, as well as the ice side. He just keeps the same because he has no one else around to copy it. So after that event had happened, they were training, and then out of nowhere, Nomu started attacking the city. You gotta remember Deku wasn't with Gran Torino. So Endeavor goes out, and Deku and Todoroki go out, and Deku and Todoroki split up. Deku ends up running down an alleyway just to see a hero knocked out and Ida on the ground, with hero killer Stain stabbing a knife into Ida's back, who sees Deku in a costume. He's like, "Another hero." I can't do a hero killer voice. "Another hero. Like this one. Hey, get off my friend." "Oh, you're here to save your friend, aren't you?" As hero killer Stain takes the knife out of Ida's arm, and Ida says, "Izuku, get out of here now! This is my fight!" And Deku's like, "Shut up, Ida! You're on the ground, literally about to die with a knife in your arm less than 5 seconds ago. Let me help you here." And Hero Killer Stain notices that, Deku is doing this even though his life is at risk, just to help out his friend, which he puts as a positive side. And he's like, "At least you're more of a hero than all those fakes. I would even say you're more similar to All Might." Hero Killer Stain replies. And Deku's like, "Yeah, and just like All Might, I'm gonna take you down," Deku states. And Deku copies Stain's quirk, which is Blood Curdle, if you all don't know. "Huh, so your quirk allows you to paralyze people when you cut them with a knife and ingest their blood? That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before." And Stain's kind of confused by this, this kid just told him his exact quirk ability that no one else had known up to this point. You got some sort of quirk observations quirk, do you, kid? And Deku tells him, nope, I got a quirk that's gonna kick your ass. That's what I got. As he instantaneously buffs up to 5 times his speed and physical resistance and strength. And quickly speeds over to Stain and hits Stain in the gut. Stain gets hit in the gut and coughs up blood, which Deku does drink. I know. It's like in midair, and his reaction times are high thanks to his increased physical abilities. And he quickly, like you've ever caught popcorn in your mouth, that's basically what happened with Deku. Causing Stain to just fall to the ground. You gotta remember, like, Ida, like 5 minutes. Hero Killer Stain, like 25 minutes, is just paralyzed and can't move. So then Deku helps Ida and texts Todoroki their location, telling them to come and to bring Endeavor. And when they both get there, they see the Hero Killer Stain just laying on the ground, unable to move. And he can talk and stuff. As Deku just helps Todoroki up. I mean, not Todoroki, he helps Ida up. As Ida kicks the Hero Killer out of pure anger, and Deku stops him from constantly beating on him. Afterwards, when Endeavor and Todoroki arrive, they see Hero Killer on the ground, unable to even move and talk because the paralysis is 5 times as worse, so he can't even talk. The Hero Killer Stain gets turned in, and rather giving credit to Deku, they give it credit to Endeavor, because Deku was mainly interning under Endeavor, and Endeavor was the first pro hero on the scene. Deku gets reprimanded, and Ida sorta gets reprimanded, doesn't really, because Deku hides the fact that Ida tried to pick a fight with him. Watchman does give Ida away, so he gets reprimanded as well. And that's where I'm gonna leave this video. Yeah, I know the Hero Killer Stain arc was kind of, underdone, but that's basically it. There's nothing else I can give you. So if you liked it, hit the like button. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, goodbye is what I would say. So half the people who actually do care are staying now. So how I do a next part for my videos, so like what if Deku had aura manipulation, the reason why I hadn't released part 3 until today was mainly because part 2 hadn't reached 50 views. As soon as part 2 reaches 50 views, I release the next part. So basically, like my newer one, what if Deku had the powers of solo leveling, which you should go watch that after this one. It's a pretty good one as well. And like I said, overpowered Dekus are kind of like my favorite thing. I love overpowered characters. I just find it funny how they're just overpowered at base. So yes, if you want to go watch another one that's overpowered, and that one, as soon as that reaches 50 views, I'll be making another one. I plan to upload either a new what if or another what if every single 2 days, and on weekends I'll upload what if every day, even if the past ones haven't had 50 views yet. So now that I explained all of that out of the way, if you liked it, hit the like button. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, goodbye. For real this time.